Welcome my 2020 viewers. So I want to tell you guys a story today of L.W.Wright from my perspective. Stay tuned. Alright, so this is a story about a gentleman that you guys may know drove NASCAR back in the 70s, L.W.Wright. So this story it's amazing just how in itself, and you guys can look back on some of the other videos and see, all kinds of stuff, but I'm going to tell the story from my perspective and how I knew him as my uncle. So of course now he's passed away, and rest in peace. And we just want to, or I want to share all the good things that I've known Uncle Larry for. And I kind of made a list, so if I refer to my phone, then that's kind of what I'm doing. But it goes way back for me, and I've never known him any different than my uncle. In one video that you guys can look back and see, one guy was talking about how he got the big idea of running NASCAR in Talladega, sitting around a fireplace with his buddies, drinking a beer and making a bet, and be like, yeah, he's probably some guy's uncle named Larry. And it was so real, like what he was saying. He has no idea, like was his personality. He would take a bet like that just to prove he can do it. The man was smart, and like I said, I'm only going to say anything positive because I've known him as a positive person. Always smiling, always, a lovable uncle, would do anything for you. But I could see him as taking this bet from someone to see if he could do it. He's always been into rebuilding cars and engines and all kinds of stuff like that. I learned from him, they always put extra bolts on anything you put it together. When you take it apart, rebuild it, it always has extra parts. He taught me that from a young age, so that's probably why I always have extra parts left over when I redo something. But looking back on, as far as I can remember, my interaction with Uncle Larry was, we would camp. We had 750 acres at the top of Grayson County, Virginia, that we would go hunting and camping with. And he was up there, him and his family, and he had a pet monkey named Sparky. This monkey was like one of the family members. It wore a diaper, clothes, and I just remember it just hopping around, jumping on your shoulder. I was scared to death because I was little then. And it was like a real human person. It would go and jump in your car. If you had lollipops in the glove compartment, it would open the glove compartment, take off the wrapper, and take a lollipop. So it was unreal. But if you put Sparky in his cage, he didn't like it. Or if you told him no Sparky, no, that monkey would go ballistic. It would want to get at you and bite you and hiss and everything. I don't know, it was so wild. And that was such an experience with Sparky, his pet monkey that he had. Like I said, it's been way back. So of course, being my uncle, and our families didn't live close together, but I would often see him probably once a year, once every 2 years, something like that. And I'd usually get to spend some time, because as you guys know, Chris, he's about my age. I'm a little bit older than him, but we'd always play together, and we got along good. And we were in Atlanta one time, or I'll say Georgia, because I don't know if it was Atlanta or what. We were in Georgia, and we all wanted to go, and we wanted to race go-karts. I didn't know any of his past, and this was probably late 80s when we done this. So he had already had his time running Talladega, and of course he's a trash talker. So, and Chris and I were too, so we were just talking it up. And so Chris and I got this plot to, when we get him in a corner, we would have run him into the rail. So when we got him in the corner, we were going to run him into the rail. We were going to wreck him. So I kid you not, Chris and I were on those go-karts. We went around the corner. I was in front, Chris was in the back, and I like clipped his nose, and Chris hit him from the back end. His go-kart went literally underneath the railing and like stuck, and they had to flag him. I remember my Uncle Larry getting out, and I think we injured his knee or something like that, because he was done the rest of the day. But looking back on it, you know, it was a good experience. It was fun. I'm glad nobody got hurt, but we definitely plotted against him on that one. And I don't know if we ever knew that, but that's how Chris and I were when we were together. So that was a fun little story, and that I remembered going on, you know, happening with him, just racing go-karts with him. So, all right, so something else was, again, the time and place of all this happening, I can't really tell you because I don't remember. It was hot. It was down south somewhere. I don't know, Alabama, Georgia, somewhere through there. Shoot. Anyways, it's not that important. But what was important was when I would stay with them for about a week or two at a time during the summer. And I remember one time he had bought an airplane. So he had an airplane, he was out flying it. I didn't ask questions. I was too young to realize anything or what was going on. Him being a pilot, I don't know. But I remember him taking off and landing that airplane, and my grandma, she was up there in age, his mom, seeing her in that passenger side of that little prop plane, and him driving. She had the big headphones on, and she looked over at us with the biggest smile on her face, and just watching them take off. Like, it was, I knew how much excitement she had just by seeing that smile on her face, that it warmed my heart to think about, you know, taking a flight with your mom like that. So that would have been crazy. So that always kind of stuck with me, just watching him take off with her, and her just smiling ear to ear, and enjoy just flying with him. All right, so I do want to kind of mention the picture that is famous of him at Talladega standing beside his vehicle. I didn't think anything when I was like really little, going to my grandma's house and seeing that picture. I was like, oh, that's my Uncle Larry in NASCAR. No big deal. Nothing was ever said about it. Like, it was just kind of, there it was. Take what you want to from it, process it how you want to. But that's him, the side of the vehicle. And I always remember that hanging on her wall in her trailer, growing up, just looking at it. And again, for me, it was nothing matter, just looking at the picture and then going on. No questions asked. So that picture had been in her house for a long time. But again, like I said, nothing was ever asked or anything. So, but let me stop right there, and then I will add a little bit to videos as soon as I think of some more things. I know one thing I do want to add was just the heart this man had towards me. And I'm just going to say towards me because that's the only thing I want to speak about. He was such a loving uncle that, like I said, anything I asked for. I never remembered hearing him cuss. He never drank. I'd never seen him drink. Nothing like that. Like, to me, he was a great uncle. that I looked up to, and I learned a lot from. And you know, it was just interesting to see how things turned out. And as I got older, I kind of started knowing more, and just I never did lose those moments that we had together, and I always cherish those, and I will always have them in my heart. And he'll always have that special spot as an uncle, and just as a, you know, a person that was good to me. He had this little thing he would always do when he would see me, like pinch my ear every time. Like if it had been 2 weeks or the next morning, spending a night with him, as soon as I'd see him, he'd come over and like pinch my ear or something like that. Him and my other uncle always done that. So I'd never forget him doing that. So growing up, we had 750 acres on top of Mount Rogers in Grayson County, Virginia, that we would go hunting, fishing, all that stuff, cookouts, spend the weekend, whatever. So kinda, as we were there, you know, you're always looking for entertainment. We had no running water, we had no power, nothing like that. So everything we done, we made it happen. So it was me, there's 2 other brothers, and then he's got his kids that we always got along. So we wanted some entertainment. It got to a point where we would just look for some entertainment. Of course, like I mentioned, he's always been a handyman, always working on vehicles, stuff like that. So him, my stepdad, my other uncle at the time, they were, I don't know where these parts come from, or he brought them in, or somebody brought them in. But he made a merry-go-round with a motor in the middle, and it had 2 seats on the end. So he had a cord coming from the motor that he would stand back and push a button, and it would sit there and just spin us. It was made of car seats on each side. And the G-force that this thing, I remember it just completely sucking you back into the seat. It was crazy, just feeling the G-force. And knowing, I don't even remember how we ran it, but the motoring, I guess it was gasoline powered, and he would just spin us till we would get so dizzy and sick on that thing. Like that was a good memory from there. And I guess just kind of think of another one. Growing up, just hear my mom tell some stories of not just him, of just her family. And I'll kind of show you a picture of when he was little, how they used to float down the river on car hoods and just wade and swim. And he had a motorcycle that he would ride around, just fight like cats and dogs, like brother and sisters do. But here's a picture of when they were little, and that's him right there that I'm pointing at to you. So I just want to kind of wrap this up, and I just want to kind of tell you the story about my Uncle Larry and all the things that he accomplished from my point of view in my life. Again, I'm just speaking from me, the loving person he was to me, and just down to earth, always happy, never seen him upset, type of guy that would do anything that I'd ask him to do as an uncle, you know. So I didn't want to make this video to be about anything else other than my good memories I've had with him. So I'll put some pictures in here of times I've had with him, and some pictures with him, and then you guys can, you know, decide for yourself on how you want to see him. My eyes sees him as how he was to me, and that's such a loving person. So Uncle Larry, miss you, wish we could have had more times together. Definitely understand Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of wrap it up with that, and hope y'all enjoyed the story, my story of Larry Ernest Wright, because that was his middle name, Ernest, aka L.W. Wright for everyone else. Till next one, see ya.